What's going on, everybody? Peter and Rob back with another video. Despite winning national championships, some are still coming after the throat of Ryan Day and his coaching accolades and what he brings to the table as a head coach. And there seems to still be a thread of disrespect and a thread of thinking that he's not an elite head coach when it's very clear he is one of the best in all of college football.
Yeah, it's just like the field goal post keeps getting moved on this man. What does he have to prove more that he's a great coach? I mean, when he first became the head coach at Ohio State, when Urban Meyer left. Now, Urban Meyer, tough act to follow. And yes,
Mhm.
no one's saying that he didn't inherit a great situation. I mean, he inherited a Urban Meyer stacked roster, but here it is. At first, fans were saying, "Well, he has Urban's roster. Let's see what he does after, once that roster leaves." And just like he's brought in top 5 recruiting class each year, and now he's won a national championship with his own recruiting classes. But guess what it is now? Let's see what he does with a whole new roster. Just like, wait, but let's rewind back. You said that let's see what he does without Urban Meyer's roster. And he showed you what he can do. Now it's just like you want to see more. The dude is 70-10, won a national championship. Yes, he's being critiqued heavily due to the fact he's lost 4 straight to Michigan, but look at his overall body of work. I mean, you can't get any better than 70-10. He's winning the games he's supposed to. Like I said before, go check the previous videos that I made about Ryan Day. And it's just like he was a young head coach trying to figure it out. And there were a lot of things that I wanted to see this during the 2024 season, such as making gutsier calls, saw that, and just channeling his, just killer instincts. And we saw what happened in the playoffs. And I mean, prime example is, you go back to that Texas game, and I think it was like fourth and I think it was like 4th and 7, and they're inside like the 25-30 yard line. Old Ryan Day would have settled and kicked the field goal. And tell me that I'm wrong. If you go back to previous seasons when he's in that situation, he shrunk and he went for the field goal. But this time he runs it wasn't I wouldn't say it's a quarter yeah, it actually was a quarterback draw with Will Howard, and they get the first down. They're able to punch it in with Junkins to take the lead. Those are the type of changes I want to see, and he's made it. And just the continued disrespect. It doesn't make any sense.
He's got a winning record versus top 10 teams. He's got a winning record versus top 5 teams. It's it's pretty hard. You have to poke really hard to try and poke some chinks in Ryan Day's armor because he's an elite head coach. He's proven that since 2019 when he took over for Urban Meyer, and he continues to prove it. And he's an elite quarterback recruiter, elite offensive mind, and he continues to make good hires. And that's an impressive thing. So,
And I'm glad you brought up the hires, because another big thing fans are talking about is, well, Chip Kelly's gone, Jim Knowles is gone. Well, let's look at the defensive hire he made once he took over the first year. He hired Jeff Halfley. That defense was just terrible in 2018, and that turnaround in 2019 was due to Ryan Day's judgment of bringing in Jeff Halfley because he
mm,
saw something special in him. Look what Jeff Halfley's doing now. He's the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers. And then it's just like, okay, Jeff Halfley's gone. We had a year of Kerry Combs, which that was very hard to watch. But wait. Who brought in Jim Knowles? Ryan Day did.
sure.
Who was able to promote James Laurinaitis to be the linebackers coach, and recruiting is up in terms of that position. Ryan Day did. Once Kevin Wilson left, yes, he tried to hand over to Brian Hartline, but who was able to bring in Chip Kelly? Ryan Day. And just like they're still doubting those hires with Matt Patricia and him putting Brian Hartline back at offense coordinator. It's like, okay, you know, you have to trust this man's hires. He knows what he's doing. He is the one who's steering the ship, and he's steered it in a good direction. So it's just like that's another thing that just like complete disrespect. I mean, you have to trust his judgment in these situations due to the body of work and the success that he has garnered over the years at Ohio State.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
just because the tide has turned in the rivalry, and that's a big deal to me. That's a very big deal to me. But just because things have turned in that, you can't disregard his top 5 recruiting classes every single cycle. His hires, when he needs to, have been elite, and his game day decisions are very good. He's the whole package. He just needs to find that mental breakthrough versus the Wolverines.
yeah, I agree with that, but it's just like, man, and I've always brought this up before. It was really fun watching, Urban Meyer slap around Michigan for those years that
Mhm.
he was there, but he was losing games that he shouldn't have, and it kept him out of the playoffs. And just like, okay, like all was well just because they beat Michigan. Look, I get the rivalry was great, but it was just so like gut wrenching and heartbreaking losing to teams that you just couldn't. And Ryan Day's not doing that. He's always been there in contention for the Big Ten championship, to be playoff bound, and he's been there more than Urban Meyer. I personally think he's got the program in a better position than Urban Meyer did. But
I, th-
again, but go on, Peter.
I think another thing that people are just kind of overlooking is how good Ryan Day has been in the playoffs. And we're not just talking 2024. 2019, we had the lead versus Clemson for the majority of the game. 2020, the next year, we get to the national championship after beating Clemson. And then, of course, last year's run as well. In 2022 versus Georgia, we dropped 41 points on the nation's number one defense. 41 points. Yes, it wasn't a losing effort. That was not a poor performance by any means. Those are two giants going at it, and somebody's got to lose. I'm very proud of Ryan Day in the playoffs. I think he's an extremely elite coach in the postseason. And I think with this expanded playoffs, it continues to bode well for us. Not that we're going to be excluded very often anyway in a 14 playoff, but in the 12-team format with Ryan Day, his preparation that he's shown in these elite matchups with a winning record versus top 5 and top 10 teams gives me a lot of confidence that future national championships are coming our way to Columbus.
Yeah, definitely. And just going back to the point of the quote unquote inherited Lamborghini program, there have been many other coaches who have inherited great situations and fumbled it. Larry Coker for the Miami Hurricanes, 2 great years out of that. I mean, he pretty much inherited an NFL roster. I mean,
Mhm.
go look at the roster during 2021. I mean, no, 2001 and
Yep.
2002. I mean, look at the starters, look at the backups, and just like that was like the greatest, possibly the greatest roster of all time. And as time went on, the ship sunk. Look at currently, Brent Venables inherited a great situation in Oklahoma.
Yep.
Bob Stoops, then Lincoln Riley, and now it's just
Sure.
like it's it's barely staying afloat with Brent Venables. I mean, they were making the playoffs every year when Lincoln Riley was the head coach. Now it's just like they're struggling to, have a winning record. So it's just like Ryan Day's doing a great job. He deserves more credit than he's getting. And again, it's just based off the fact that he's lost 4 straight to Michigan, which I think is just absurd and ludicrous.
Yeah, they the disrespect is continuing, but he's got a chance to continue to prove him wrong again, like he has done every single season. He's been the head coach at Ohio State, and shoot,
And
man, We're real close to the season, man. Fall
Yeah.
fall camp kicks off tomorrow, and we're 30 days away from Ohio State versus Texas at high noon in the Horseshoe, and that's another opportunity to prove the haters wrong.
Definitely. One more thing about Ryan Day. Say what you want about him. Continue the disrespect. You know, we gave our talking points, but another talking point I want to bring up is Ryan Day has not had any NCAA investigations, hasn't had to fire any staff for unethical conduct. He's
Sure.
run a clean program, by the way. And plus, like, dude, he literally donates to mental health. Now, how you can bash a man like that? And literally, there's also a clip of him staying behind at the spring game signing autographs. I don't see any other coaches doing that, what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he genuinely cares about his players. And you could tell, you know, they care about him. So say what you want. The proof is there that he's not, he doesn't fit the narrative that, you know, these other fans are trying to make.
Yep. Prove them wrong, Day. They're lined up for you. So go prove them wrong. That's going to do it for this one. Go Bucks and God bless. We'll see you on the next one.
OH.
I